John Deere D140 came in. The customer stated it would not move. In assessing, really I only started it up and pushed the rod in and I was able to move it around fine. I am going to do a little bit more testing on it to see if there's any issues, like do it for a substantial amount of time. But I'm going to do a once over, and this is just kind of like I've said in the last video, I do these for kind of my own benefit, so I have something to look back on. The reason I put them on YouTube is that they will be there, and in turn it may help somebody else out. So I appreciate you taking a look. These are straight through. I'm not going to ever edit these because I don't really care about any of that. Not looking to be famous. It just helps me have video evidence of what I've kind of done, especially on stuff that's a little bit more, well, like that D110 right there, that the engine had to come out of it. That way I got video, that I can show to the customer. If there's a customer in the future that's looking at making a decision whether or not to, have the engine pulled and have me check it out, I can show them what I run into sometimes. It's just super helpful. So embracing technology here. So what I like to do is just kind of start basic. Judging by the dusty condition of the top of this engine, I'm assuming it needs a air filter. So and look at that, it needs an air filter. Could blow it out and run it. I like putting new air filter in. And while I'm screwing that back on, I just kind of take a look around, see if I see anything out of the ordinary, any oil leaks. This engine looks very clean, as it should. It's a low hour D140. It's got a good just about brand new battery in it. There is slight oil leakage going on there. Nothing major though. Oil could be changed. I just suggest it to the customer. I don't try to force them into anything. I do strongly suggest these things. Looks like it could use a fuel filter. It's got 155 hours on it. I imagine those are the original spark plugs, so we'll probably do that. No cracks on that line there. Grab my fluffy creeper. Work our way down. Tires seem to hold air. Those ones do anyways. These front ones look like they could use some air. Probably just slow leaks. A lot of times I leave it up to the customer, way tubes are getting. These ones are still pretty good as far as price goes. So I'll probably end up pumping them up. I'll spray them down, see if there's any major leaks. If there's some major leaks, which I don't assume there are, I'll put a tube in it. But a lot of times, got that fix-a-flat can, I'll put that in there. I know a lot of people don't like using those, especially mechanics, but I want to try to save people money as much as I can. I work with a lot of people that are on very, very tight budget. All right, drop the deck down. Take a look. You want to get some good eyes on the drive belt up there, since they were claiming it wasn't moving. It feels good. turn the flash on and take a look, see. That belt looks pretty darn good. The deck belt looks good. Don't see any issues there. I like to always get my hand on these pulleys, wiggle them around a little bit. This one seemed to be very jumpy when you started it, but I see why, because this style, there's only 1, 2, 3, well, 4, 5 contact points, including the height adjustment. So they definitely wiggle around a little bit more than some of the other models. Huh. That's interesting. Well, take a look at this. So unless, I think what they did was they only pushed it back to, yeah, I think they only pushed it back to there. That's still disengaged. It does, pulling it out all the way is quite far, and then you go over this bump right to there, and some people may think that's it, but it actually needs to go all the way in. I think that's probably what the issue was. Now, spindle seems nice and tight. It could definitely use the blade sharpened. Oh, man. Comfy creepers. Definitely not the best, but helps out. I'm just checking the other spindle on this side. So it's nice and tight there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give the customer a call back. And I'm gonna note the slack front tires, and give a kind of a go ahead on whether or not what they want me to do, if they want me to just throw some Fix-A-Flat in them. I am going to tell them that I'm going to pump them up and take a look, and that if it's only very slight leak or not detectable, a lot of times I'll just throw a little bit of Fix-A-Flat in, drive it around, and call it good. Belt's good, both of them. Spindles are good. It's missing the guards, but he told me that he did that to pressure wash it. So he has the guards he's going to put back on. But, blades need to be sharpened. Why'd I do that? And I'd say engine, well, I'd say the tractor service should be done, which mainly just is the engine, but I'll grease all the fittings, and lube everything up, that, you know, those mechanisms down inside there that engage. Oh wait, that doesn't have one. So probably clean, you know, blow everything out. I'm going to suggest air filter, oil change, so including the oil filter, fuel filter, spark plugs, and I may suggest checking the valve lash. I'm going to test it out a little bit more before I decide to do that. The only reason I say that is because he had stated it didn't want to start, and I'll show you why. Possibly it will do it right now. It didn't do it right now, so it was acting like the compression was stopping, and a lot of times if they're a little loose, won't push down hard enough to, and it will catch. You mechanics out there may agree or disagree with me on that, but I find sometimes adjusting the valves really helps out that startup process. It's got a fresh battery in it. There's no reason why it shouldn't just bust right over. As you can see, it moves good in reverse. It's right there. I hate these buttons. They are ridiculous. Whoa, stops good. Man, whoever drives this thing's really tall. Or maybe it's that I'm really short. Comment below if you have anything to say about that. Not seeing any issues with forward motion. I do see a chicken though. And this is my test hill. This is my own test hill. I do have a couple of lawns nearby that I like to test out mowers with, because it always needs a lawn mowed, and I'm sure they appreciate it. Has good power, revs up like it should. We'll just I'll show you the deck when you turn the deck on. See how it wiggles a lot? The throttle stop in between the choke is a little bit funky, so I may do a little bit of adjustment there. Not feeling any weird vibrations. I like to do going up hills, stopping, taking off. A lot of times when the customer states that there's a movement issue, it's underneath it within the frame where that clutch brake mechanism kind of all comes together. Grass gets built up there, and it will not move very well. You may be able to move it on flat ground all right, but when you get on hills, it decides it doesn't want to go, and it's because the pedal is not coming back far enough. Actually, you might be able to mimic it. See what I mean? It'll be like that. Want to barely move it. It really needs to be all the way out, just like that. So we'll leave it here for now. And that's it. I mean, it's pretty basic doing this stuff. DIY, I mean, I have a fine line between, you know, if you got good mechanical skills, you know how stuff can work. DIYing all of this stuff is straightforward. I'm not going to go through how to do it because there's a million videos explaining how. I'm just, like I said, these videos help me with my business. It gives me a, you know, physical evidence that I can go back and look at. You know, if I was going to tear this thing all apart, I'd probably be videoing the whole thing, the whole process, and showing what I run into. But this is just kind of an assessment. I'm going to give the client a call now, tell them what I think, and go and do whatever they give me the go-ahead to. I see no reason that they will say to not do any of what I suggest, because they're a local, it's actually a local lodge that it belongs to, and I'm sure they don't want to mess around with any of that. They've got plenty of lawns to mow, so most likely I'll be taking care of everything that I suggest. As you can see, we got many more here, more showing up every day. This L120, automatic is gonna need a set of spindles, and probably other things. I haven't torn it apart. It's super dirty under there. I usually run into a pulley or two. Yeah, this one here is going to get a whole new deck. Unfortunately, I just went through this. They had it one day. They let their grandson mow the lawn, and unfortunately, he did what so many before him have done in picking this up. The button stuck a little bit, and it went all the way down, and he wasn't quick enough and drove the blades into the ground, grabbing rocks and stuff, and it completely demolished this deck. I could weld it up. You can actually see where I've welded it before, but I am going to not be doing that. I have an 42-inch deck off from a Craftsman that has this about the same, or it's about the same thing. The only difference, I believe, is the front mounts and possibly that mount right there, which, since I'm a fabricator and welder, no problem at all. We'll get this lady fixed up, and it'll cost her, you know, a lot less than trying to track down. I mean, I possibly could track down another deck, but those decks are usually, once they go on other mowers. If they've been sitting, they're junk. So we're hopefully gonna have her fixed up here pretty soon. And this old wheel horse is actually the next one that I'm bringing in. I'm gonna do a compression test on each cylinder, and they're gonna have me do a tune-up. Depending on the results of the compression test, I'll be doing a tune-up and just kind of a, you know, once-over. It's in super good shape, but you can see where it's been welded here and there, patches and stuff. And in testing on it, the engine just doesn't seem like it's got enough. Now, I think it should be able to mow no problem at all, but when it's mowing and going up hills, it seems to not like it. It bogs it right down, so there may be a couple of things causing that. But thanks for watching. Sorry this was such a long one, but I appreciate the, you know, if you viewed it all the way through. Like I said, it's really only for my benefit, but I hope it benefits somebody else out there too. Yeah, we got some cool stuff around here. See you in the next video.